Want to beat your mates at fantasy football? I've got a little secret for you.
Fantasy Football Hub provides the artificial intelligence, recommended transfers, expert team reveals, and more, all designed to help you win your mini-league.
Big beats.
If you don't win your mini-league, we'll even refund your membership. Sign up today for 50% off. Terms apply.
Hello all, welcome to the 10-minute podcast where I address all the popular dilemmas in the FPL community before Game Week 3. The first question we have this week is what to do with Bruno and Rashford. In my opinion, both of them are worth keeping. I still rate them very highly as FPL assets. We've seen they've done really well over a large sample size over the previous seasons. However, they haven't really hit those heights and both of them have blanked in their opening two games. So I can see why people are getting fidgety with regards to their spots in the team. Bruno and Rashford both have had good stats over the first two games. Bruno's had 3 big chances moments. Rashford has had 2. In my opinion, the Forest game is very good. Even the Forest have they've defended well in the first two games, but when you look at over a large sample size, Forest last season they were 20th for goals conceded last season. So I assume that Man United would bounce back this week at home in an opening fixture. Ten Hag does seem to have a good record at home as well, which makes me think that Rashford and Fernandes should be good to go this week. In fact, no player has underperformed his XGI more than Bruno Fernandes has in the opening 2 weeks. In my opinion, there's a better use of free transfers than to sell either of them at home. Should you be selling either of those for Mbeumo? I don't think so, because this is another very popular dilemma. A lot of people are looking to move them on for Mbeumo. I think all 3 of them are good assets, and in my opinion, you shouldn't be using your free transfers to sell perfectly good assets for other good assets. What to do with João Pedro? In my opinion, I was of the opinion that he is a must sell before the alleged Enciso injury rumors broke out, because he was benched last week, and I'm really not sure whether his expected minutes would be as high up. But now with Enciso out, his expected minutes would significantly increase, and that completely changes the whole perplexion. If you have 2 free transfers, then I guess you can still move him on, because I think that the likes of Jackson and Alvarez are better options, but he's not a hard sell in my opinion. If you have 1 free transfer, then you can easily bank it and you can keep it, because Brighton are a very good attacking side. You look at the first 2 weeks, they're first for a non-pen XG and by a distance as well. So he's not a hard sell, but if you have 2 free transfers, you can move on. Moving on to the next question, Jackson or Alvarez. This is a very popular dilemma for a lot of FPL managers this week. I personally own Jackson, and if I was picking one this week, I would still go with Jackson because he's more of a long-term pick than Alvarez, in my opinion. His expected minutes are more secure. He's playing as the focal point. Alvarez is the number 10. So Jackson is likely to get more chances. He has the better stats as well so far. And so far, he's been unlucky not to return. I mean, only Wissa among forwards has a better non-pen XGI than him, and Jackson is second for big chances, only to Mbeumo. So far. So the points, in my opinion, are around the corner, and with Chelsea's favorable fixture, and I think it's only a matter of time before he does well. What to do with Gabriel? I mean, it's funny because I've been sitting here for a few days now saying that Gabriel should be safe and he should come back inside. That didn't happen against Palace, but now that Tomiyasu got a red, Zinchenko's back fit, I think Zinchenko will start as the inverted fullback, which does increase Gabriel's chances of playing as a left-sided centre-back. So in my opinion, he's not a hard sell either. If you have him, you can keep him. He should start a very favorable home game against Fulham. And he does have a tendency of scoring against them as well. He has 3 goals in his previous 4 starts versus Fulham. And Fulham this season, even their bottom for XG conceded from set plays. So there's a weakness to target. Fulham historically have been weak from set plays as well. So this is a matchup that could work in Gabriel's favor. Next question is best Reece James replacement or Gabriel replacements if selling. In my opinion, if you don't own Ben Chilwell, he is easily the best option to bring in. In my opinion, out of all the defenders in the game, he has the highest ceiling in the coming weeks. He's comfortably first for touches in the final third among all defenders, and should be prioritized because of Chelsea's fixtures. If you already own Chilwell, then you can either jump at a City defender. I think Diaz is the safest when it comes to starts. So if you have the money, you can go with Diaz. City are comfortably best for XG conceded. Their defensive numbers are elite. But having said that, personally, I had a very similar dilemma, and I decided to sell James for a cheaper option. there are plenty of cheaper options out there. There's Colwell, there's O'Doggy, there's Rico Henry. I personally prefer O'Doggy because I like what I've seen from Spurs so far. They're very attacking. O'Doggy is going forward. He's in the top 5 defenders for touches in the final third so far. He even had a big chance against Man United, and he rotates well with most of the defensive picks out there, which makes me think that he is a very good option. And the good thing that I like about a cheaper asset is that you have to prioritize bringing Trippier in from game week 5 onwards, because Newcastle's run of fixtures is really, really good. And we've seen time and time again, Trippier is a very reliable asset to own. He's almost like owning like someone like a Trent Alexander-Arnold in a better defense. So he's someone I have an eye on from game week 5 as well. What to do with Mo Salah? I don't think Mo Salah is a hard sell, but I see a lot of teams who have him who are looking to upgrade some of their other picks in their team. So in that case, if you want to sell him, you can move him on because he won't be a captaincy option for the next 4 weeks. At the same time, having said that, I think he's perfectly fine to keep as well because, I mean, you can never go wrong with him. He's going to continue to tick along. He's a premium asset for a reason. Is it too late to get Brian Mbeumo? I don't think it is. I really like Mbeumo as a pick. I mean, he's on 90 minutes, set pieces, penalties, what's not to like? I mean, his fixtures are great all the way up to game week 9 as well. A very popular dilemma is comparing him to the Brighton mids. Some people are going to begin Dome, etc. I personally prefer Mbeumo because his minutes are more secure. Brighton have Europe coming up, and he has the added advantage of penalties as well. And another factor in his favor is that Wisa generally tends to get subbed around the 70-minute mark. This is something very underrated in Mbeumo's favor that he can then play on as a striker for the last 25 to 30 minutes, which is very important, especially now that the Premier League have increased stoppage time in recent weeks. His record without Ivan Toney speaks for itself since 2022. In 7 games, Mbeumo's had 11 big chances, 8 goals in just 7 games. And in those 7 games, he scored 71 FPL points. He's averaging more than 10 FPL points per game, which is absolutely phenomenal. What to do with Ollie Watkins? Again, this is a tricky question. If you have 1 free transfer this week, you can easily save him. Watkins will continue to tick along. He's a great option. If you have 2 free transfers, nothing better to do in your team, then I can see the argument of downgrading him to someone like a Jackson. But I mean, there's nothing wrong with the pick as per se. We saw last night he scored a hat trick. He will continue to tick along with points. Even though his upside will be slightly limited with no penalties and more, a greater risk of reduced minutes due to Europe, I still think he's a good asset to own. If you can afford to keep him, you can. What to do with Maddison? I don't think he'll be risked because apparently he has a minor MCL strain. You can wait for the press conference. If he's ruled out, then you can move him on. I don't think he's worth keeping in that case because the competition for midfield places in our teams is cutthroat. So even if Maddison's out for 1 week, he should leave your team. Who is the best replacement? I mean, there's Mbeumo, there's Foden. If you have Mbeumo, then you can go to Foden. If you don't have Mbeumo, then Mbeumo would be my first pick for the reasons mentioned earlier. What to do with Richarlison? This is a tough one because he hasn't performed so far, and the difference between him and someone like Mitoma and Mbeumo has been significant in the past 2 weeks. But I would still keep him fired in this week. His underlying data isn't great so far, but Spurs under Postecoglou are very, very attacking. So the chances, I do expect the chance to fall to him eventually. I mean, he's playing as a number 9. There's an outside chance of penalties as well. The fixture's in his favor. So he's not a hard sell either. I think he could be worth keeping. It's just that there's so many options in FPL this year that, all of our picks feel under constant pressure. The final question is it too early to wildcard? I believe so. If you have a template team and you haven't gotten off to a good start, I can see why a few managers are tempted to wildcard, but I still think it's too early. Most teams don't need a wildcard at all. Patience is something I would suggest because it's a very underrated trade in FPL. I was in fact making a wildcard draft, and I think there are too many 50-50 decisions to make, and those are ones which could go horribly wrong. So a wildcard right now is not something I would recommend unless your team is in completely dire straits. Thank you all for watching this video. If you want to keep in touch with my transfers, my team, and keep track of them, I share my transfers and team every week in advance on Fantasy Football Hub. There's a link to sign up below. You can sign up through the link. There's a 50% discount available, and you can keep yourself updated with my team and transfers throughout the course of the season. Thank you all for watching, and good luck for Game Week 3.